If you're trying to lose 20 pounds in 30 days, stop right now. This is a failing strategy. We have a better one for you instead. Watch this. Let's talk about what to do instead in 30 days. For the person whose goal is to lose 20 pounds in 30 days.
Something realistic, achievable.
And not just that, but more effective.
Yeah, as I said, the hard part about this is that that's possible. It's just not sustainable, I'd say, for most anybody that actually does this, right? So like if you just wanted to lose weight on the scale, I used to use like extreme analogies with clients, like all you care about is just the weight on the scale. Like, yeah, we could just stop eating this month, come in here and get on the treadmill. And I know you laugh, right? Because that's an extreme. It's an extreme analogy, but the point gets across that like maybe you don't eat nothing, but you eat very, very little and you push your body really hard is what happens. And everyone falls somewhere on that spectrum of this during this process. And it's just not a sustainable way to lose fat. And if your goal, if you told me I want to lose 20 pounds of fat, Adam, and you want to keep it off for the rest of your life, there's a much better approach that not only will you most likely be successful, but you'll also be able to maintain and keep it off, which I think most people that say they want to lose 20 pounds of fat in 30 days, they want that. They don't want to just put it all right back on.
Well, there's a few things here. Number one, they want to look like they lost 20 pounds. They want to look leaner.
Right.
They want to lose 20 pounds of body fat, and they want to do it in a way to where it's maintainable or sustainable, okay? If you lose 20 pounds in 30 days, right out the gates, inevitably a significant portion, I don't care what you're doing, a significant portion or part of that will be muscle. You will not be able to maintain it. And if you lost 10 pounds of muscle and 10 pounds of body fat, which is probably what it's going to be if you went hard and tried to lose 20 pounds in 30 days.
Same place body fat-wise.
You're not really going to look that different. You're going to be a smaller,
softer,
same flabbiness.
And weaker version.
Of yourself.
Yeah. So you're a less healthy version than you were going into the process.
Instead, what you should do, if your goal is, I'm not changing your goal is to lose 20 pounds. Here's what you do first. You gain 5 pounds of muscle first. Build the machinery that burns the body fat, that improves your hormone profile, that does all these incredible things first, which sets you up for success. By the way, if you gained 5 pounds of pure body fat, your body fat percentage actually goes down as a result, because body fat percentage is a percentage, your body fat is a percentage of your overall body weight. So if you gain 5 pounds, lost no body fat, you're actually leaner as a percentage. And this is what's most important. It's body fat percentage. But let's talk about why gaining 5 pounds, and 5 pounds of muscle in your first month is doable.
Yeah.
You can do this. My clients on average would gain between 3 to 6 pounds in the first month. If you have really good genetics, athletic background, if you were really muscular before, it would be a lot more.
Especially at the beginning. Yeah. Especially at the beginning.
Yes.
If you haven't been touching weights or you haven't touched weights in a long time, it's very doable to do that.
Right. So let's start with one of the most, I think, best selling points of this, and it's very true. Gaining 5 pounds of muscle has a much more positive impact on your hormone profile than just trying to lose a bunch of weight really fast. Building muscle is pro-tissue. It's pro-active anabolic tissue. As you build muscle, you increase the amount of androgen receptors that you have. It's known as androgen receptor density, which means that your current level of androgens, testosterone, is now more effective. By the way, this is important for women just like it is for men. So testosterone in women is just as important as it is for men. They just have lower levels of it. And testosterone that's more effective in women is just like what testosterone that's more effective in men. It makes you leaner, stronger, gives you more drive, more motivation, and more energy. It also improves your insulin sensitivity. So having 5 more pounds of muscle means you have a larger capacity to store carbohydrates and sugars, and you're more sensitive to insulin. So now you're not going to get those insulin spikes and drops, or blood sugar, I should say, spikes and drops that can cause changes in behaviors that make it difficult to stay lean. You also get better growth hormone profiles. That's the hormone of youth. And you get cortisol that is healthy. You get cortisol as you build muscle. What ends up happening, if you do this right, through the muscle building process, is you see a cortisol profile that is appropriate, where it's kind of higher in the morning and starts to come down towards the evening so you can get tired and go to sleep. So you start to, you actually are making your hormones, in order to build muscle, have to organize themselves in a way to do so. And that's a favorable hormone profile. Just trying to lose 20 pounds oftentimes does the opposite. So you want a better hormone profile, build the muscle first. By the way, that'll contribute to better fat loss later. And then we talked about the metabolism.
Yep.
As you're feeding your body and strength training, eating protein like you should, your metabolism starts to speed up. In fact, we had a caller recently. Now, this is more of an extreme example, but routinely I would see things like this. This young lady gets on with us. She was a college athlete. She went from eating 1,800 calories to eating 3,000 calories a day. Okay, there's more. In that period of time, she gained 4 pounds of muscle. Okay, she went from in-season volleyball college practice to off-season, meaning she was doing 3-hour practices to no practices, and all she was doing was strength training. So strength training, doing way less activity. She was still active, but not doing as much as she was.
And she lost a pound of body fat.
And she lost a pound of body fat, gained 4 pounds of muscle. That's it. But her metabolism went up 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
Do you know how much cardio you have to do to burn 1,200 calories every single day? That's like 2 hours of cardio a day.
Those are the stories I like.
reel.
Those are the stories I like to share the most because I do think that that's one of the things that there's still controversy in our space about. From leading experts, right, and talking heads in our space. So it's a tough one that we have to constantly battle because it's not like just some random person saying it. There's doctors in our space that like to tout studies that talk about muscle only burns X amount of calories more per day, which is a very insignificant number. Yet been doing this for decades and seen tons and tons of examples, just like the caller you're talking about today, that is gained only 4 or 5 pounds of muscle, yet is eating double the amount of calories. And so if that study told the whole story, then that wouldn't be possible. That wouldn't be possible that she, especially considering she's reduced her cardiovascular activity.
Yes.
So you can't, because some people are like, well, yeah, but you're not accounting for now that she's working out.
Activity.
She's
doing less activity.
She's doing less movement in the day. She only put on 4 pounds of muscle, yet she's eating, 1,500 more calories. It just doesn't math. And I've seen this time in and time again with so many clients. And so I don't like when we get into these arguments over what the research says about comparing muscle to fat, because there's obviously more going on that we don't fully understand.
100%. It's not just the muscle. It's the process of building muscle. It's the signal that you're sending to build muscle. It's the way you feed yourself to build
It's what you
muscle.
have to do to maintain the muscle.
Right. So essentially your body everybody's body has a range of calories it can burn with the same lean body mass. Okay. So gain or lose no muscle, and your body can, through complex metabolic processes, burn more or less calories, become less or more efficient. The muscle building process allows or teaches your body, for lack of a better term, to burn more calories on its own. So in my experience, so she was a college athlete, good genetics. So I'll just give you my average. My average client in the first month of training, it wasn't unheard of, so long as there weren't injuries I had to correct and they were healthy. About 3 to 6 pounds of muscle gain in the first month was pretty average. I mean, I had some people do more. These were people who were really muscular before, lost it all. They had muscle memory. But the average person, remember, this is the average 30-something, 40-something-year-old person, 3 to 6 pounds of muscle. By the end of that month, most people's metabolism were 300-400 calories faster.
Yeah.
300 to 400 calories faster. That's 45 minutes of cardio every single day just sitting there. You're now setting yourself up for a future of fat loss that's sustainable without having to do more work to get there.
Or another way to look at it, you're looking at a future that has metabolic flexibility, which allows you to enjoy the Friday night out at dinner every once in a while, or the occasional drink with your spouse. And really that's what you're looking for, is to be able to have some balance. The people that lose this weight, that do it the wrong way, where they just cut calories and move like crazy, this is why it's not sustainable, because more than likely they're going to go back to real life at one point. At one point, a birthday is going to happen. At one point, they're going to go on vacation. And when you do that, when you've done nothing but restrict a ton of calories and do tons of cardio to lose that 20 pounds, you put yourself in a place metabolically that allows no flexibility whatsoever.
The margin of error is so slim.
Yes.
Versus the other. And if you stack them next to each other, it's just you see those benefits. It's very crystal clear. It's you basically have to get down to a level where you're so low energy, you're frail, you're weak. And at this point, too, like where else can you go other than like just maintaining this really low amount of calories that you're consuming? And so anytime you actually add a little bit of, a variation to that, it's like now I get the weight back on really quick versus now, I've set myself up metabolically where I can have a lot of calories and slowly kind of reduce, but also, there's just a lot more wiggle room there, and I'm strong and I'm energetic and all these positive things.
Which leads to the next point that Sal has, which is you feel better doing it this way.
Oh, way better.
Leaning out through building muscle and building your metabolism feels so much better than chronically under eating and doing tons of cardio to lose weight. It is a dramatic difference of a feeling. I mean, one of my favorite things with clients that this was their goal that I used to love to do when we were reverse dieting and we were going through this process, through the building muscle in order to lose the body fat process, would be they would come back to me like, Adam, I'm eating more than I've ever ate in my life and I'm leaning out. This doesn't make sense. And that is such a great place
It's working.
to get your people to, because that is something that's going to be sustainable versus the people that are just feel like they're dragging ass and punishing themselves day in and day out and feel like they're starving all day long and they're sacrificing so much. That's just not sustainable.
It doesn't look at one of the main reasons why people fall off, besides lack of results, is it starts to feel like drudgery. It starts to feel terrible. I don't feel good. Now, people will lie to themselves. Like, you take somebody who loses 20 pounds in 30 days and they beat themselves up and starve themselves. They look at the scale. They're like, oh, I feel great. The truth is, if they did what we're saying, they would feel far better. Now, people will confuse themselves because they look at the scale. But if you do the muscle building process, that's a feel good, energetic. I feel mobile. This is amazing. And that leads to better consistency later on. By the way, you're still going to lose the 20 pounds of body fat. So we're not saying gain 5 pounds of muscle, you're done. We're saying gain 5 pounds of muscle first. That makes the 20 pounds of fat loss
Way easier.
possible and sustainable and probable, and it feels much better. And finally, it's better on your psyche, okay?
Yeah.
There's two scenarios here. Scenario one, let's cut your calories way down and have you just do tons and tons of cardio. Scenario two, I'm gonna have you strength train twice a week, maybe 3 days a week, but probably twice a week. And I'm gonna have you actually probably increase your caloric intake a little bit through whole natural foods and high protein. So now I'm telling somebody who wants to lose 20 pounds of body fat, eat more of these things, do a little bit of strength training versus eat way less and run on the treadmill. Which one is better on your psyche?
Yeah.
Right? Which
one's punishing.
That's right.
It feels that way. The other one's like, oh, wow, I can add more? That's interesting.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
Well, we talk a lot about how, human nature, we're rebellious by nature. And so I remember it being such a huge hack as a trainer to when I had clients that we needed to diet or we needed to lose weight, that the strategy of having them add things that are good for them in the diet versus telling them they can't have things was such a better strategy. And it's for the psyche. It's for that reason. It's like reverse psychology. It's like this person, we know that they've obviously overconsumed calories for a long time to get in this place. Telling them purely to restrict and cut back is not like new to them. Like that's not, they're aware that they've overate, but it's such a flip to go, hey, instead of me telling you can't do this, you can't do that, this is what I want you to do. Go get this, go get that. And I'll make sure every day we have at least one of these and at least one of that. And they kind of look at you like, wait a second, what about this? And no, don't worry about that right now. I just want you to go get this. What that does psychologically to that person is it doesn't make them feel like they have this inner rebellious side that they need to rebel against themselves. Instead, they're like going after foods. Such a different response that you get from clients when you set goals like this.
And by the way, we're speaking from experience. We trained people for 20 years. Here's a funny part of the story, okay? The 3 of us really didn't train clients together. We all kind of had our own businesses training clients. When we met and started the podcast and we were sharing notes, we all found success doing this. We all figured this out with our clients. And all of us took a good 7-8 years to figure this out because what you're taught or what you think is right as a trainer is to take that person who wants to lose 20 pounds, throw them on the treadmill, cut their calories. But through years and years of failing, flipping it around, figured it out, success rate went through the roof. I got a study to bring up to you guys. about muscle quality. So you guys know Dr. Gabrielle Lyon has been talking about
Oh
this.
yeah, she blew my mind with that. I didn't even think in that regard.
She's been talking about this for a while. So, there's BMI, right? So how much you weigh versus your height. Then there's body fat percentage, which is, better, right? That's a better way to measure what's going on. But what they didn't look at, or what they haven't looked at in a long time, was muscle quality. Okay, you've got some muscle on your body, but someone who works out with the same muscle versus someone who doesn't work out with the same muscle, there's a difference. There's a big difference.
The visual being sort of that fillet versus, the ribeye as sort of, if you look at it like meat being muscle.
That's right. That's what they're finding. And what they're finding is the person who works out has healthy muscle. It's more insulin sensitive, more protective. It's obviously stronger. But what they're finding in there is that it's, they call it fatty muscle. So that's the term for it. This is January 19th, 2025 in Science Daily. It was from the European Society of Cardiology, and this is the summary of the study. People with pockets of fat hidden inside their muscles are at a higher risk of dying or being hospitalized from a heart attack or heart failure, regardless of their body mass index, according to new research. Wow. This intermuscular fat is highly prized in beefsteaks for cooking. Yeah. However, little is known about this type of body fat in humans and its impact on health. This is the first study to comprehensively investigate the effects of fatty muscle on heart disease. So in other words, it's not just about body fat percentage, but it's quality.
Yeah, it's quality of that muscle. Muscle
quality. And the way you improve muscle quality is through exercising and strengthening those muscles. So healthy muscle, healthy lean body mass. By the way, this is why I think, the studies that show that grip strength is a great predictor of all-cause mortality, and it's strength in general. So if you look at the studies on muscle, really it's because muscle means strength, and it's strength that correlates most to health. It's not necessarily how much muscle you have, but what the strength looks like. Now, of course, you can go extreme. I'm not talking about pro bodybuilders and powerlifters. I'm talking about general population, people who are fit versus not fit, because you can go too extreme in any direction. But what they find is its strength, and I think it's muscle quality. I think if you took 150 pounds of muscle that's not healthy versus 150 pounds of muscle that's healthy, you'll see more
there'll be a difference there. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, I hadn't even thought on that direction because, thinking of muscle quality, being able to contract more force or like recruit, a higher frequency with that. Like it makes a lot of sense in terms of like that having a kind of tripping up the process, like having less quality to your muscle fibers.
I think it also highlights too just the value of strength training, even if you don't have the best diet. Yes. Right. Like, so even if
that's what it says, regardless of BMI.
Right. And so I think that's the big takeaway I gave, because I know that I made the mistake for many years of having that attitude of like, I need to be everything. Right. Like, because I know diet is, they say 75% of your results is your diet. So man, it's pretty much everything. Right. So why would I waste my time lifting weights if I'm not dialing in my nutrition? And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people that have a similar type of attitude. Like, they say, I got the holidays coming and then I'll start my diet and then I'll start my routine. It's like, well, actually, don't do it just for that reason. Yes, obviously lining up your diet while also strengthening is going to accelerate results. You're going to get better results that way. But to me, it really highlights just the value and the importance of strength training regardless, even if you don't have the best diet, even if you aren't consistent, even if you are on off the wagon because it's the holidays a little bit of, hey, maintaining that consistency around lifting weights and building strength. That's what it really tells me.
So without getting to the extremes here, okay, I'll give you an example where we highlight this, right? A woman who is strong at 30% body fat is going to be healthier than a woman that's at 15% body fat that's frail. So 15% shredded for a woman, but frail meaning not strong and weak. If you compared those two people with their mortality and disease rates, the 30% body fat woman with strength would be much healthier. Same thing could be said for a man at 20% who's strong versus a 10% body fat man who's frail. So that muscle is incredibly protective. One of my favorite things about some of these studies on muscle is it's very protective against a sedentary lifestyle. I mean, I'll use myself as an example, okay? We were just talking about this. So my wife just got a pedometer to measure steps because she's right now tracking her steps. She wants to see just how active she is. And she goes on walks with the kids, and she's with, I have two toddlers, so she's moving. And she's reporting to me how many steps she's averaging a day. She's like, well, I did two walks on the stroller, and I'm up with the kids all day. She's like, I'm barely breaking 9 or 10,000 steps a day. And I'm like, man, I don't even track my steps. I'm in the studio pretty much all day long. We're recording all day. I bet you I barely break 3,000 or 4,000.
Oh, I know.
I
You
know.
do. I track
It's
a lot.
sad.
I track a lot, and I know we all have very similar habits around.
What does it look like when we're here?
3.
Okay.
Yeah. When you and just that's including a workout, by the way. So even I know you work out every day.
Yeah.
That is your 2,500 steps right there.
Yeah, because we ain't stepping nothing in here.
In here, and I know we go for our walks mid-afternoon here and stuff like that, but you're talking maybe 4 tops 4, but more like 3, which, I mean, they say the average person is less than 4,000 steps a day, and you can see why. I mean, if you have a desk job or a job where you sit in a chair like this, you really have to actively go out here. But to the point you're trying to make right now, which I think is so awesome, what the audience doesn't know too, we were talking about how many calories you can eat right now and get away with because how much lean mass you have. I mean, it's like you easily can eat, and you can eat out of balance, even though you don't really that much, but you could eat out of balance and not really move that much and yet still stay very lean and healthy because of how much muscle you have.
I would be healthier. It would be, to be clear, it'd be much better for my health.
Sure.
If I were walking,
of course,
10,000 steps a day. But this is how protective muscle is that, and I know people like this who strength train, who have desk jobs. So they'll do their, 3 or 4 workouts a week in strength training. You've got good strength and muscle. And then they have a desk job. And, when you look at their blood panels and their health markers, they're great. Muscle is very protective.
I mean, I think that's something that, and I hope that the audience gets that message from us. There are plenty of fitness people out there that are way fitter than I am, way fitter, have way better, healthier habits than I do. Never am I trying to, I think the message that I think I'm always trying to convey on here is how little you have to do to stay pretty damn healthy if you do these things.
Yes.
And I'm always looking for that low barrier for everybody to to be able to see great results and how little you actually have to do to be much healthier than the average person. Yes, I would be better off at least in introducing 1 or 2 days of some pretty good cardio intensity in there. And I should be working more of my mobility and flexibility and even more consistent with my strength. There's so many things that I could be better about. But what I love is that because I've put so much effort into building muscle and strength for so long, man, you look at all my health markers and my body fat percent, man, I can stay pretty damn healthy considering how little effort I have to put in that direction. And I think that's really the message I always want to present to the general population is that it doesn't have to be that crazy. It doesn't have to be that hard. You don't have to be like some of these people that we put on these pedestals and that we admire so much as these fitness people that are fanatical about a lot of it. And cool, that's neat that we have people like that to look up to. But I don't know, there's other things in my life that are more important. And I want everybody to understand that, man, if you could just make 1 or 2 days of full body strength training a week
and try and walk.
Yeah. And try and walk a little bit and make sure you hit your protein intake and eat whole foods. You just live by that as a bulk of your lifestyle. You're going to be really, really healthy and for a very long time. And you're really going to see it as you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, as you start to, I mean, Doug's a great example of this. We were just talking also before we got on air how much different he looks than any of his peers. And I don't think Doug's a fanatical fitness person. I think I would say he probably falls in the category of me, goes in his waves when he's on a kick or he's in there a lot. And there's other times when he's kind of whatever doing his thing, but he overall eats whole foods, makes good choices, takes care of himself. And I mean, the guy looks like he definitely looks younger than us now. Yeah. So, I mean, it says a lot.
Would you mind, how old are you for real?
59.
59,
nobody
bro.
knows.
He's approaching 60.
159.
Almost 60.
He's fucking old.
Yeah, so I know
he's
people,
old, man.
I know people who are 60, and I don't know people who are 60 who are like you at all. So
no medications, no major issues.
No.
I mean,
when we hang out, we're all going to bed early. He's trying to stay up and hang out more.
Yeah, no. I mean, and strong. Doug can hang into every lift that we do. He's strong, and it's like, and I also, and again, what I think is important to understand is like. Because there's examples, of course, in our space of lots of people that are stronger, better looking, fitter, all the things. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't think we present that message. And I don't think any of us are, Sal's the most radical when it comes to training and diet, right? The rest of us, I think, are pretty normal. And I think we're also all pretty fit and healthy. And that ability to do that is a testament of what strength training has done.
Proper strength.
It'd be interesting to see, though, too. I think a lot of these influencers, like you're thinking of right now, or that you've followed, from the beginning. A lot of times, it's like it's a period of time. It's like maybe 3-year run, 5-year run. Let's give them 10 years, let's say, right? But then all of that kind of catches up. It'd be interesting to see for the long game,
Bro,
who you keep following.
I'm watching. So we've been doing this now 10 years.
I know.
And so without saying names, I'm not going to throw people under the bus, but I know people that were in their 20s and popular fitness influencers.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're getting to marriage and a kid and life, and they built their brand around their shirts off and how crazy and all their crazy stuff they're doing. And you can see it. You could see it decline. They're still in great shape, not taking anything away from it. But it's like, now more of life is hitting. They became famous at a period of time in their life when that's all that.
I almost want to create a rule for everybody not to follow anybody 20 years old. You're going to be misled.
It's true. There's a lot of truth in that. You know what I'm saying? And so I do think that I don't know, the message I think I'm wanting, or at least I try and present to people.
We want to get most people healthy.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm not trying to turn you into a pro bodybuilder or a pro athlete.
I'm not trying to argue.
There's voices for that anyway. Like that's
I'm not trying to argue or persuade too with somebody who's already in incredible shape and has their routine, and it's like, no, then my message isn't for you. I'm looking for people that
need help.
Yeah, when I think back to our career when we were actually training people on a daily basis, right? On average, I see 8 to 10 people every single day when I was training clients, and I can count on one hand how many of them were fitness people.
Like fanatics?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Most of them hired me because they just...
The ones that became fitness fanatics became trainers later. Yes. Like a few of them.
Yes. Yeah. But the rest of them really didn't give two shits about how they looked exactly. You know what I'm saying? They wanted. They were there because they knew it was important.
It was there to improve the quality of their life.
Yes. And they knew that doing that would improve everything else in their life, and so therefore they understood the priority of it. They understood what investing in a professional that could teach them, and so they were always looking for, Adam, what's the least I have to do? Like, what is the least shit I gotta track, follow, do to be really, really healthy? How realistic is it? Could I ever be this? And I love being able to take somebody and be like, listen, you'd be blown away how good you could look, how good you could feel with how little effort. If we make strength training the cornerstone, we make a real conscious effort to be consistent with your protein intake. Majority of the time you're eating whole foods. I'll tell you what, I'll blow you away about how good you feel, how good you look all the way as you age.
Love it. Love it. Speaking of health, I watched this woman speak on mental health, and she was citing all this data. And I found it very fascinating. Do you know one of what the most accurate predictor of mental health issues or dysfunction is? Like one of the what is one of the hallmarks of mental health issues?
Like depression?
Well, so people that suffer from mental health issues,
trauma, or
what they find is that what they typically all have in common is that these people are inflexible.
Oh,
or they can't. Inflexible are not adaptable. I mean in terms of flexibility.
Okay.
So people who have a tough time dealing with frustration, with changes, in routine, with expectations, with whatever. People who really struggle with those kinds of things, it is a hallmark of mental health.
That's interesting you say that, because I can't help but think about what we've went through probably the last 12 years, I'd say, right? At least the last 3, if not 4 presidencies, the extremes from one way to the other. Like, imagine how much that impacts your life, and then how extreme each side has been, And so and if that's true, and you're not very adaptable to a new way of looking at things, or a new leader, or new rules, or new stuff, how much that could affect your overall mental health. I mean, I can't think of a time, at least not in my lifetime, where I have felt that as much. And I don't know if that's exacerbated because of social media or whatever, or it's just because the leaders have been so extreme different. But I bet that plays a massive role then in why we've seen such a spike in it.
Yeah,
in
the
last
less
decade.
mental health, the worse mental health you have, the harder that is. The harder it is for you to go through changes. Your adaptability isn't so good, and so COVID really pulled that out. A lot of people.
Everybody
you saw
was
mental health-
grasping for control. Everybody, I mean, and that's kind of what you do when you're not adaptable.
That's right.
Like you have to find those areas where you can make sure it's controlled and like I'm safe or whatever it is and versus just building your body up, being resilient towards these changes.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I thought about the mental health kind of epidemic with kids. And a lot of it is related to the fact that they aren't as adaptable. So when you talk to like employers and teachers, what they'll say is like these kids like freak out. They freak out over things. They can't handle stress or challenges. It's adaptability. That's what it is. They don't have the same level of adaptability. Now there's a lot of causes for that, so we could talk about all the reasons behind that. But lack of adaptability, lack of ability to handle frustration or changes or whatever. That was the hallmark that they talked about.
I mean, there's a bit of shielding going on in terms of the hovercraft parent, where we're trying to make sure that everything's safeguarded and we're not letting them fall and have these moments of these lessons that they need in terms of like, oh, I'm going to be okay if this happens, and they learn that themselves.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. We have a free guide titled "Understanding Your Mood, Stress, and Sleep." It tackles all of those things from a health and longevity perspective. It's a totally free guide. So just click on the link at the top of the description below.
Speaking of parenting, we just had that great episode with Erica Komisar. Did you guys, was there anything personally that you got from that you've taken home and you're like trying to implement more in your family, or maybe even just a reminder?
God, one thing she said that I blew away a belief that I had. Now I'm better at it now, but definitely when I was an early dad, I wasn't great at this. I always thought it was about quality time, not quantity. And she said, that's a myth.
That was that question I asked.
Yeah,
she shit all over that.
Yeah. I thought
that's an argument a lot of people make.
Everybody
a lot makes that argument of like, and I adopted that too. I was like, that makes sense, right? Better to spend 1 hour of like engaged with my kid than 4 hours and I'm disconnected or like that. Like, so it's more about that. But boy, she really shit on that.
Yeah, and that one hit me because
that hit me too. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a big one. It's like, because they're both important, but one isn't supplement the other or get rid of the other one.
Yeah.
That was a big one. Did you have another one?
Yeah, there was something that it just made me more cognizant of it. Like, is Max seeing my affection with Katrina?
Oh yeah.
I'm not a big PDA person, right? Like I don't do a lot in like that's not. I am an affectionate person, and Katrina and I have a very affectionate relationship. She's more of the touchy feely and lean over and kiss me. I love you, do that stuff like that. And so I was like, I could be better about making an effort so my son sees a lot of that. And so like that was something that I think resonated with me.
So what are you doing? Just randomly now going up to Katrina?
Yeah, I'm trying to be better like she is with that.
How does it feel for you to do that?
It's work. So yeah, I mean, anytime, I think that's just the honest truth, anytime that you become aware of something that you could be better at or you don't do, I think you'd be lying, or I would be lying to say that it's not work, it's not effort. It's I've openly talked about my relationship with the family thing, and it took a lot of years of consistency on my part of making an effort to enjoy that process. And it's such a bummer to have to say that, because I know what it must feel like on her end to hear that, like, man, that sucks. We come around my family and you have to try. You can't just, and like, I wish I could say.
Yeah, you have an exceptional wife though. She understands you so well that I think a lot of it she doesn't take personal. I think she really
she's great.
She does a good job.
She's patient.
What's the term? It's she's a good strengthener for you. So she gets you, she understands you, allows you to grow, and encourages you. So I think she sees that and gets that, because I can see how the other person would take that personal.
One of the things, if you ever talk to Katrina and you ask her about, us and the things that, what she fell in love with or the things that she knew about us, it's that we're both very, very growth minded, and her attitude towards anything, she is very patient and flexible and understanding with all of my flaws, so long as she sees me working on it. And I'm the type of person, that's just who I am. Like I'm open, I'm self-aware, lots of flaws, but I'll always be actively trying to be that. And I think that's what's always attracted her and made her patient, is that It's not like I have these habits, behaviors, or things, and I'm denying them, or I'm not going to change. It's that like, yeah, I recognize I'm kind of a pain in the ass when it comes to that, and I know I suck at it. Like I could be better, and then seeing me put in the work to do that, I think that's what gives her that flexibility, probably, or what she would probably tell you. So, but yeah, that was something I got from that.
Oh, you noticed a response from Max?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I knew, well, what really triggered is because she's really good at that. And it's really cute that, and maybe I'll get lucky and he'll always think of that as we were, even though I think she's being the one who's really good at it. Whenever we kiss in front of him, he always comes running over and gets in the middle of us.
No way.
Yeah. He gets in the middle and all three of us do a kiss.
That's awesome.
And we've done that a lot because we used to read together every night. And so he's definitely seen that. But I could be better on my end of engaging because I want to make sure that he sees me loving his mother the same way she loves me. And so, I mean, we'll see how that plays out, but that was my big
I have
thing.
my flaws for sure, but that one I'm too much, I think. Like my wife will be trying to do something and I'll come in, I can't do anything. Just get off of me. Almost like
Isn't it funny how almost every couple has
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably meant to be that way, right? Like there's always one who's more than the other, you know, that
The
balance.
affectionate one.
Are you?
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
He is.
Really?
He is.
Yeah.
He's very affectionate. You ever seen him with his boys? He's always, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Courtney's like that too. Like you, more like, you know, just kind of keeping everything together. And her affection really is like in her cooking and her preparation and like, this is my love and giving it to us, you know, from that place. And so for me, I'm always like, I'm the touchy feely guy, but I don't do that with you guys.
Yeah.
It's a different experience.
Yeah, I would say that's how I'm. So she's like that, where her expression of is through action, right? The things that I do. That's how I've always said. Like I'm not I'm not good about saying it as much and letting her feel it that way. It's more like it's the things I do. You know, that's what I try.
I like words of affirmation. I've told my wife many times, and I actually.
That's so funny to me that you're that way. I feel like we would be because I'm totally not that.
I love words of affirmation. I love being encouraged. It strengthens me, makes me feel good. You know,
I gotta get better at that. That's a big flaw of mine. Is congratulating, like, you know, celebrating or like pointing things out that you know, my wife's doing really well. Like I'm like, I should have said something.
Is she good about words of affirmation to you, or do you feel like you need it or you like it? Katrina's so good at it, but I don't even care. I tell her all the time, like, that's not a big deal.
I probably like. I mean, she's better at it than me, but I don't really seek it as much. Like it's not.
What do you like?
I like touch, man.
Yeah.
You gotta touch me, dude. It really gets.
Have you guys all? You guys have all read Love Languages, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's such a good book. I always tell people, if you're listening to this and you're early in a relationship, or even if you're not in a relationship, I think that was probably one of the most important books I ever read because it gave me the words to be able to communicate and then also to understand. Because here's what happens a lot of times in a relationship is everybody feels like when they love somebody the way they like to be loved, they feel like they're doing it.
Yeah, they try to communicate with their love language.
Exactly, because that's what they like. Therefore, that's how they reciprocate this, right? So again, that's Katrina loves a touch, words after. She loves that stuff. She's really good at doing that. I'm terrible at it, but then I also don't need that. So even though she's doing it like crazy, what's hard for that person to understand is that she feels like she's putting all the effort in and working, but she's loving me the way she wants to be loved. Therefore, I'm not receiving it that way. So understanding that is so powerful because a lot of times that's where this happens in a relationship is both partners feel like they're trying and both partners feel like the other person isn't trying, but it's because they're speaking a different language.
No, my wife's got a lot better with it. I've told her a bunch of times, like, I like words of affirmation. And I saw her, she had her alarm go off on her phone. I looked at it and said, word of affirmation. I said, did you set an alarm to remind you?
It's my hack.
Did you give me? She's like, I did. And I'm like, but, and I kind of like, is that
scheduled?
That's not the same. You have to schedule it. She's like, no, because this is not the way I normally communicate.
Hey, it's work.
She definitely does
She
acts
does
of
that,
service. She likes spending time. Hers is time. She likes to spend time together. That's a big one. And she's touchy-feely as well. I'm just over the top. You guys know me. I'm super
Yeah, I was trying to think from that interview, like what really resonated. And I think it was like, for me, I had a tendency to want to, because I want to like reserve myself from just jumping in and kind of taking over with my kids in terms of like whatever they're doing and pursuing, because I want them to learn and to struggle and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, you know, that's where I'm like, I'm dad. I need to teach them a lesson, you know, when really it's like spending that time and like the volume of time is kind of along the same line with that, where I was like, you know, I got to work on this and just finally it was something that it was easier because I could relate with basketball and I could relate with like some of these other pursuits and like entrepreneurship with Ethan. And so those two things I like have on my radar with both of them, that I'm like immersing myself with them for time, you know, and just spending that time having them ask me questions or like, you know, work on that kind of stuff. Cause like my go-to before that was like, I'm going to get them somebody to teach them because they don't want to learn from dad, you know? And I'm like, no, they want to learn from dad.
They do. They just want to hang out. Well, you're your kid's hero. It's super obvious. Your boys look at you as a hero. So that's cool. I had a freaking win, dude. I got to tell you guys about this massive win. My teenage daughter. Having a win with your teenage kids is just such a. So recently,
milestone.
One of the tough things for anybody who's divorced, who has dual custody with their kids, this is a huge struggle. There's this guilt, this underlying guilt, or whatever you want to call it, where you know it's hard to be tough on your kid because then they go off to their mom and you don't see them for another weekend. So you just want them to be happy all the time. And this is always a struggle. It's always a struggle. It's always challenging. But anyway, more recently, through help from my wife and a lot of prayer, I've been able to kind of rein that in. And you know, we had this big situation with my daughter. She's 15. She's a beautiful young lady, very hardworking, the whole deal. But she's 15, and so she's starting to blossom into a young lady. And so I kind of had to put the brakes on the way she was dressing a few things. And it's nothing crazy, but as my wife explains it
slippery
best,
slope.
yeah, she says this is the starting point. It only goes down from here. Right. So stop it now.
Address it early.
Because otherwise it's hard to go backwards, right? So I did, and we got this blowout. You guys know about this. We had this huge argument, my daughter and I, this big old blowout thing. And she literally was pissed off at me for a month. Like, so for a whole month, she acted, you know, just angry with me, kind of silent a little bit, would just say minimal words.
Yeah,
so I had to deal with that. I had to deal with that for 30 days, just eating me up, you know. But I did, and we came through it, and my relationship has been getting closer with my daughter. And one thing also is really looking into child psychology. When your kids feel contained by you, they feel cared for.
Safe.
It's actually neglect. It's neglectful when you don't give your kids boundaries. Yeah. Even if the kid says they like it, they actually feel like mom and dad don't care for me. So that really sold it on me. Like, okay, I don't want her to feel like I don't care about her because I do. So so I did that. I put my arms around her a little bit and said, here's the boundary. We're not doing this. I don't care. I'm dad. You're gonna have to listen to me type of deal, whatever. So anyway, I was talking to my ex-wife the other day, and we were talking about my daughter, and she goes, oh, I got to tell you something. She goes, I was talking with her the other night, and you know what she said to me? I said, what? She said, you know, sometimes Papa just loves me too much. I was like, oh, my heart. He loves me too much. Oh, my heart exploded. My wife made a little, like a framed picture of that. I have a little desk at home, so now it just says, Papa loves me too much.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, it was so nice.
That's great because then you know that's her interpretation is that versus, you know, dad hates me or dad is, no, that's good.
So cool. Speaking of like touching things, you guys see what Element did for the LA fires?
I did. So cool.
So explain this. So they were providing.
Yeah, they were sending all the ready to drink Element drinks to all the firefighters that were coming. I mean, we had firefighters coming in from all over, right? So obviously those fires were massive.
So they were providing them.
Other states, everything like that. Yeah, I don't know if they were shipping them by truck, helicopter, or what, but I saw the pallets. I mean, just pallets and pallets.
Electrolyte water for all these hardworking men and women trying to put the fires out. Wow.
Yeah, it's always so cool when I see some of our partners. It always makes you feel good about the companies that we've decided to partner up with that do stuff like that, you know. And
then they have a nominate. What is that? What are they doing there, Doug? With the
so if you know somebody that's in the fire zone, you can actually nominate them to receive the Element product
for free.
For free, they'll send it to them.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah,
I wish a lot of if more companies did that during emergencies, you know.
Yeah, during crisis, I love that when certain companies really take that on and shine, and you know, like was it Elon Musk when they brought the Starlink in with the other. Tragedy that happened there in the was that North Carolina or
yeah I know what you're talking about with the floods or whatever.
Yeah, they were like flying it in and
giving them internet.
I wish more stuff like this was highlighted, because I like to believe that as a whole our society is good and would actually do good for each other. Like, obviously there's evil people, there's corrupt people, but I've never been a fan of us waiting, hoping, or putting our trust in the government to save all of us. I think that we're better off waiting for our neighbor. I really feel like our neighbor will step up and do it the right way before government does. And I think that this is just another example of that. And I don't think it gets highlighted enough. I don't think people talk a lot about those situations like that. I'm sure, Elon was talked about for a day and then forgot about, and then now he's a Hitler salute or whatever. And the viral thing right now.
You gotta hate.
I know.
Okay, so watch the whole video. First of all, it looks bad.
It does.
Straight up looks bad.
At first, I was like,
well,
oh
in a
my
clip,
God.
When I first saw it, I was like
face palm.
what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
No, he was talking, and he's spastic. He's weird. And he's talking, and he says...
He's autistic, isn't he?
He's almost like a tick.
Yeah, and he says, my heart goes out to you. And he like grabs his heart and throws it out, but it looked like... Someone's going to clip what I just did.
I know,
looked
right?
like a freaking Hitler salute.
Yeah.
And that's all they needed. That's all his enemies
so these
needed.
news outlets, they just clipped the part where he's doing the salute only and repeating it. It's like, it looks so bad.
So funny. It's so funny. But, there's when you criticize someone, there's a lot of things you can criticize them over. But that one's not true. It's not true. But that's what goes viral, right? It's what's flying everybody. He was not doing a Nazi salute. He literally said in the video, you hear the whole thing.
So I didn't watch the whole thing.
Grabs his chest.
But I heard the whole speech. His hands are all over the place because he's all, you know what I'm saying? Because he's autistic. He doesn't know what to do with his hands, period. So... you got to kind of. I think he's kind of funny. You got to laugh.
He's an odd bird,
shit,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Or his publicist is like, oh.
I hope he's got like buddies. You know what I mean? Because like if one of us did that, I would.
I guarantee
on you
it.
all day,
oh
dude.
yeah, I'm sure he heard. He got a bunch of text messages.
Justin wore the commie jacket. That we did.
The North Korean.
Yeah. You guys didn't warn me about that. I was just rocking it.
Dude, it looked terrible.
Oh hey, what's up, Kim Jong Il?
Speaking of fires, Justin, it's somewhat local to you. That huge battery.
Moss Landing.
Yeah, Moss Landing. So
is it the biggest? Like
this is like these smokestacks, and at first I think it was some kind of energy plant. It wasn't nuclear.
No, it was battery. They're lithium batteries.
But the lithium batteries, the fire.
That's what they do there?
They take on all the discarded batteries from EV cars. So this is like where they're just dumping all these like batteries, and so it somehow caught fire. I don't know I was trying to read into the story to see if they know the actual cause, but some sparked and then caught fire. And with batteries, if you get them like hot enough, it's just one explosion after the next. And so this was like a pretty long winded fire. Like it went on for quite a bit and kept like
chemicals
resurrecting
burning, and they had to shut down
chemicals
roads.
in the air, like toxic chemicals everywhere, and then leaching. And guess what? There's farmland all surrounding the whole thing, so that gets in the soil. We're fucked from that too.
You have tinfoil hats, right? Because
weird.
I mean, this is also what's really interesting about something like this is
our energy grid's been getting hit.
Well, yeah, okay. So, and then
poisoning.
We have this new shift in power, and there's this now conservative movement, and then it's like a story like this just falls right in line with, and this is why electric cars are bad, and this is why we need to oil and frack more. And
you're going from that angle.
Oh, totally.
Okay,
I mean,
I guess you could use it either way.
Of course, that's how I would see it. That's to me, it creates a great storyline around that, and that's the wave and the movement this direction, and how to get people behind it.
I mean, this clearly is a clear example of like what people that are all sitting high and mighty in their EV car need to realize what's going to happen to your battery once it's done. It doesn't just disappear. Like this becomes a big environmental issue.
I mean, this is my point, though. This is what they want conservative people.
Yeah, well, this narrative hasn't been there at all.
Because we were on the other direction 4 years ago. Now we're moving this way.
Yeah.
So I mean, God, man, you guys have made me so suspicious of everything.
It took us a while.
Now I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything. Left, right, doesn't matter. I don't trust anything.
Welcome, brother.
Hey, you don't trust anything. How about this $500 billion investment they're going to make,
bro?
Stargate AI. Is that what's going to happen?
Oh, $500 billion.
$500 billion.
Yeah. And so this is Space Force and AI. And
yes, dude.
Okay. And so let's talk about like some potential things that could be so great about it.
Super AI that is managed by first of all, super AI is scary, but super AI managed by the government.
Yeah.
We know what they do with some like containers around them. Like with something like this, like their ability
It
to
does-
manipulate and control and social credit system. and all
That's
that
what
stuff.
I'm most worried about is the social credit thing.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried. That one is not the one that's alarming to me. The Space Force thing is more alarming to me because here's what I think. 50 years ago, very few people were privy to the war games that were happening behind the closed doors. And how much of this shit was just all to make money and like barely. I feel like just recently in the last decade or two, people are now privy. Now people are waking up going like, so much
I
of
know you're going with this.
so much of this bullshit. So you know what we do? Let's move it to space.
Yep.
And aliens and UFOs.
And the price,
let's bond us all
the
back
price
together.
tag gets even higher.
Very high. Very
you
high.
need
Space.
space stations.
Yes.
You
And they're
need freaking
aliens.
spaceships.
And aliens, we need way more
We
billions
need
of dollars to fight
huge
aliens.
lasers that are way more expensive than nukes.
Way more. So
Yeah, and we saw
and now
these
we're all together.
drones before
We're
that.
all
Like,
on the
that's
same
scary.
page
China
together
might own
because
those.
we don't want to get killed by aliens and we don't want our Earth to get blown up. So of course we got to send money
It's the
that way.
trillion, quadrillion
I
dollar
feel like
space hustle.
they milk the wars dry here, so now we're moving to
and then
I'm on board with that
and
theory.
then let's
That's for
audit
sure.
them. We don't know where the money went. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Ooh, oops. Yeah,
And
it's-
even all this stuff that's popping up with UFO, what if they're just they've been setting the table on us?
Yeah.
All this UFO stuff popping out like
Well, of
crazy.
course.
More and more people are starting to go like, I knew it. I knew there's aliens. And the next thing you know, we're
We
going
need
to
space
war.
lasers.
yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
But we now need to protect ourselves.
Yes.
guys. Yeah.
yeah.
Trillions of dollars to a force field. It's just coming. It's fucking coming, you guys. I'm going to be so
I mean,
mad.
I'll be honest with you.
I'll be so mad.
I'll be
because
honest with you.
it's
You said force field. I kind of like was like that's kind of cool.
Force field. I mean, finally, our tax dollars are going to cool shit.
That's how they're going to get you guys right there. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, give me a lightsaber and I'm in, dude. I'll
Yeah.
fight.
Hey, can you pull up the Star Force uniforms? Have you seen the uniforms?
No, are they real?
They have, I
Space
think they have-
Force?
Hey, whatever
Space
happened
Force,
to
sorry.
the spoof that was made that show? And
Oh,
did it go
it
anywhere?
tanked. It
didn't
sucked.
do well, huh?
You know
It could,
what?
such a good idea.
Great actors, great idea, terrible execution.
It could have been good.
Pull up a picture of the Space Force uniforms. I want to see what
Are they ridiculous?
No, they look. I think they look all right. Do they? Yeah, it kind of looks cool.
Okay.
It does it look
Very
spacey?
Empire, very
A
Empire-esque.
little bit.
a little too Empire-esque, bro. I don't
I
know.
would
Oh
have
my
ex-
God, it's
I would have
happening.
I expected them to be shinier. You know what I mean? Like there should be a little bit more shininess.
More Hugo Boss.
I don't know. That looks way too much like the.
Oh yeah, look at that. That does look.
Actually,
Looks very much so. But give me the Empire for Darth Vader's
it's
guys.
almost
What do they look
like Star Trek Next
What
Generation.
are they
A
called?
little bit.
What's
With the buttons across on one side.
What are Darth Vader's people called? What are the Empire? Is that what they're
Yeah,
called?
the Empire.
Yes,
Yeah. Let's see their uniforms. I'm pretty sure they look just like that.
Stormtroopers?
No,
No, not stormtroopers. That's the soldiers. What are all the generals? They're all wearing.
yeah,
it
the
looks like
generals.
that.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
It looks just like that.
Pretty much.
What? Hey, there's a clip by the way in Star Wars. I know you know this. I just saw this the other day where one of the stormtroopers hits his head.
Yeah,
and
look
he's walking
how
into-
similar that is. They're just missing the black leather gloves and the silly hat.
Bro, that looks. Did you pull up Nazi uniform, or is that really what that is?
Well, they
That's-
were trying to model a bit of Nazi because it's obviously they were, weaving that into the
I mean,
story.
it looks pretty close to the Star Wars. Oh, look at someone's already put them next to each other. Look at down in the bottom left. Look at some of that picture right there. Someone's already comparing
Let's
this.
see. Click on that.
That's great.
Oh yeah, that's the girl we just saw.
It's pretty close,
Oh
man.
man.
I guess we're the Empire.
Well, we knew that anyway.
But doesn't it feel? I mean, God, that's going to be awful, man. If that's where all the money goes now.
And then they'll just do light shows in space, make us think that something's happening. Look
Yeah.
what's there, guys.
Oh man,
We got to raise your taxes.
Of course. Drop a few UFOs in people's backyards.
shooting each other.
Oh god. Man.
It's coming.
All right, I got to
Be
change
ready.
subjects. Doug, I want to ask you. You have not tried Organifi Sleep yet,
I have not.
but I saw you grab some
Yeah.
in the back. Okay, you're gonna love it.
I haven't either.
They have a great sleep product that it's got some botanicals in there that have been shown to improve REM sleep, so that REM stage sleep, and help you fall asleep faster. It's a good product. Organifi does a good job.
Anything else?
Always do a
Chamomile?
good
Any
job.
other
Pull
basic?
it up, Doug, so we can read all the.
Yeah, tell me everything else that's in
ingredients
it.
that's
Because there's
in
I do chamomile tea all the time, and so if there's
Are you
things
doing chamomile often?
all the time. I love it, especially like right now in the wintertime. I'm not a big fan of
so
summer.
the ingredients are valerian root, holy basil, skullcap, passion flower, and lavender.
There you go. Yep.
So it doesn't even
All
have
of those
chamomile.
proven to improve sleep.
Is it like a tea? Is it a drink?
Yeah, it's a mix.
Okay.
It's like a little powder. You put it if you put on in warm like almond milk. That's a good mix right there.
So with these sleep formulas, I always look for ones without melatonin.
That one does not have melatonin.
No melatonin.
That's why I like it. So melatonin's effective, but it can suppress your body's own production of melatonin. And melatonin's a hormone. It's not a dangerous one necessarily, but it is a hormone that you can take. So that hormone free.
Sweet.
That's what they should have put on the bag. Hormone free.
know, it should say
Organifi
that.
sleep.
You know,
Right
we
out
had
there.
I had some notes to show you. You guys remember we were talking a lot there for a while on the streaming wars. And are you guys aware, like, you know, Amazon Prime, some of these streaming platforms have now been buying NBA games and NFL games, and like they're moving that way. You see what Netflix did?
What?
I thought this was a pretty powerful move. I'd like to see if Doug can find some articles on it because I'm curious too.
Wrestling,
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Monday Night Raw. They
That's
brought
right.
there,
And so they've been live. So Netflix is moving into live TV also.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the move right now. Obviously, they still have streaming, but if you want to watch I thought it was a show at first. It popped up, and I told Katrina, I'm like, oh, interesting, they have a show. She's like, no, I think it's actual wrestling, and I'm like, what, live? And I'm sure shit, it's live. And you look at, pretty brilliant considering, you know, we think football, basketball, baseball, all these great sports, but there's a hell of a lot more
it's
people
a huge
watching
amount of people
wrestling.
watching wrestling.
I think they have the
sure.
biggest audience. don't
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And so I've been watching the streaming wars happen and been giving so much credit to, you know, YouTube, Prime, all these companies that have been buying rights to the NFL and NBA for these certain games. But Netflix goes and gets WWE rights. I mean, that's pretty brilliant.
That's huge.
See if you see any articles, Doug, on the deal, like what kind of deal it was, dollar wise, and if they've already got some stats.
I think it's cool. I have respect for, you know, but I love real wrestling, man. I watch Greco.
How dare you say that WWE's not real?
I mean, I know it's real in the sense that, but you know what I mean. It's pro wrestling, not
Right.
like,
Yeah, $5 billion for the next 10 years.
$5 billion.
wow. Times 100, and you can get yourself an AI Stargate investment. You know how much money that is?
Actually, Elon Musk is pouring some cold water on that.
What are you saying?
He's saying those people behind it don't have the money.
Don't have the money?
What are you guys
don't have
talking
the
about? I know
money.
what you're talking about.
Stargate,
Stargate, the AI,
thing?
the $500 billion.
Hey, did you? Was there
AI.
was there a rumor that because they were going to say TikTok will keep it in the U.S. so long as 50% of it's owned by the U.S. Was there? I think Trump said something like, "I'll be okay with Elon."
Was that
buying.
real? I saw that too.
I heard it. I don't know if it's
Dude,
true.
if he
I
buys-
saw. I read
What's
too that
happening?
Mr. Beast was even trying to put a bid in to purchase
to buy TikTok
I mean, even I wouldn't be a fan of that. That's too much power at that point.
for Elon.
Yeah.
I know.
No, he
that's
doesn't
what I'm
need
saying. What's
another-
And
happening?
then he takes over all the cell phone controls too. On top of that, when he gets his.
So once Neuralink comes out, we're all just immediately like.
So that's
upload
the other
platforms.
rumor that I've heard is that it's only a matter of time before like AT&T, Sprint, and all them are done. Like he's going to be able
That won't hurt
to
my feelings at all.
connect everybody phone wise, internet wise,
Destroy Comcast
Yes,
forever.
like destroy all those companies.
Yes, I hate them
But
so
again, like whoa, talk about like a lot of power for
Xfinity.
one person to have. It's gonna be
Nobody's
wild.
buying your Xfinity name.
Yeah. So Donald Trump open to Elon Musk or Larry Ellison buying TikTok. Okay.
So it's just him probably saying it in conversation. It's not really. I don't know. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of that.
Yeah. I don't.
Will
mind.
they let that happen? Or is
Bro, this is like the newspapers. Remember the
That's
newspapers?
what I mean, yeah, when
they were all like this, like decentralized, and all of a sudden, over time, like a couple people owned them all, and they control the narrative. Yeah, don't do that.
No, even though I'm an Elon Musk fan, I'm not a fan of him having that much.
I don't trust anybody that
power
much.
and control.
No way.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody who would even want that much. That's not a good thing.
No.
Like you want all that stuff. Like why?
What are you gonna do with it?
No, exactly.
Absolute power always corrupts.
What does a good probiotic do for you? Well, it can help support your gut barrier, improve your skin health, heart health, improve the way you absorb micronutrients. There's a company called Seed that makes the world's best probiotic. Go check them out. Go to seed.com/mindpump. Use the code 25mindpump. Get 25% off. All right, back to the show.
First question is from Don't Worry, It's Just Courtney. Do you have any dietary tips for a couple with opposite goals? For example, one is wanting to bulk and the other lean out. What are some of the best strategies to help both individuals meet their goals?
Okay, now, truth be
You
told,
can
with
eat
this-
off your plate.
Truth be told with this, okay, the best way, first of all, to bulk is with whole natural foods. The same thing is true for leaning out. I mean, honestly,
Just portion control.
you
Everything
just-
else could be
one
exactly the
person
same.
eats less.
That's right. This could be exactly. I mean, Katrina and I are like this. although we don't work out all the time together, but we've gone through stretches where we're working out in the gym at the same time. You could both literally follow the same MAPS program. You could both literally eat the same dinners, lunches, and breakfasts. Just one of you is a smaller portion. And actually, that's a good strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, that way it's easy, right? I mean, when she preps her meals and my meal, we cook. I do 8 to 10 ounces of meat, and I get like a cup or a cup and a half of rice. She's doing a half a cup of rice. She's doing 6 ounces of meat, but we're eating the exact same food.
That's right.
She just, her portion control is half of what mine is.
Where this gets challenging is if one person is eating
Shit.
crap and the other person is trying to eat healthy.
Yeah, that's where this. Yeah,
that's different. But if you're both doing this like
together
as an effort and you want to bulk, not just gain a bunch of weight, the person's trying to lean. It's the same food. It's the same food. You just manipulate the portions. And if the person leaning out, if their calories are getting really low, you cut the carbs on top of it. But other than that,
and the advice for the person who's trying to bulk. I mean, this is where because there's been times again where I'm like on aggressive bulk, she's on aggressive cut, so we're on totally ends of the spectrum. So guess what? I get to at 8 o'clock after dinner, I go eat another bowl of Magic Spoon, or I go eat something else in addition to what we ate also. So not only are my portions bigger, but I can still afford to have another 500-700 calories, and so I go enjoy something at the end of the night on top of it. And then she just has to discipline herself and not eat that extra meal. But people overcomplicate this. Where it only place it's difficult is when one person is not bought in.
Yeah,
when
one person's healthy and one person isn't.
well, that's really, really tough.
That's a different ballgame altogether.
But otherwise, this is an easy solution.
Next question is from Honestly Haley. How do I get my husband to be more adamant about taking care of his body? For example, being more active and eating more protein and veggies without him rebelling. We want a baby, and I'm trying to make him realize his health is important too.
This is difficult. See, so this is the couple before is fine. This is hard.
This gets hard. Yep. The best strategy that I've ever seen in my entire career is to be the example and invite them to do the things that you're doing. Hey, would you like to go on a hike with me so we can spend some time together? Hey, I'm going to the gym. You want to come with me and work out together? Hey, I'm cooking dinner. I made, this is what I'm making for us. Invite them. Invite them each time. This leads to the highest probability that they're going to improve their lifestyle. Now, here's what doesn't work: beating someone down, or nagging them, or telling them, you need to do this, you need that, because that makes someone feel terrible, not good. By the way, this is extremely ineffective, especially for men. I'm gonna say this right now, especially for men. Like, one of the best ways to influence a man is to simply be the example and invite, and not saying it's going to work, by the way. I'm not saying it's going to work 100% of the time, but it's the best chances. If a lot of men are avoidant, and if you just hammer them, they're just going to agree and actually not do it, or they're just going to be avoidant the entire time.
Have you guys ever seen Major League?
Of course.
The movie.
Yeah.
Remember when they had the owner, and then it was like an incentive base. Once they started playing well, they'd like strip.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, incentive
I was
based thing.
I was gonna say put a shirtless picture of Sal on your refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, right.
See if he gets his shit together.
I mean,
no, this is I always like to use the analogy with somebody who's trying to get somebody to go to church or religion or something like that too. Is the same thing as like telling them and what they need to do, what they should do. Never is going to get that person to come over to your side. The fitness is the same way. I don't even, you say invite, I don't even say anything. I think it's so difficult to already live a super clean, healthy, consistent life already. So all of your energy should be put in that direction. And hopefully you married the right person that sees you continue to improve your life and sees what that lifestyle is bringing you, from energy to your physique, to your energy levels, to your all these things, and that attracts him to want to go down the same path. Because telling him, and even I don't even know if inviting him is even necessary.
Well, inviting is just, it's not like, hey, you need to work out.
But it can come off that way.
It can.
Like,
that's why you have to be
careful.
careful.
What I'm saying? Like, you're getting ready to go to the gym. You're like, hey, do you want to go to the gym with me? You're like, no, I don't want to go to the gym with you right now. I'm watching the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why waste your time even do that? Just do you, and be consistent with you, and eat the way, and hopefully, like,
it's just the most powerful way to influence someone.
It is. It just is. It's just through through action.
And I've seen it work. I've seen this work. I've had many, many clients who hired me and I trained them for 2 or 3 years. And then they brought their spouse and then their spouse started working out. But it took a couple of years.
I just think too, it is so hard already for all of us individually to live and be that example that most of your energy should be spent on that other than because it'll look hypocritical when you are trying to do that, tell them, show them, yet you're already inconsistent with your own health and fitness journey. So it's like, put all your energy in that, and then hopefully it attracts that person on it. And then if you don't, I mean, I don't know. This to me was part of the list of like the must-haves for a partner. Like if I'm going to do life with someone, they got to care about health and fitness at least somewhat as much as I do. They don't have to be in the space and want to be a fitness fanatic, but they got to care about their health. And so,
yeah, but she's already here. She's already married to him, So, you're married, you're together, you support, you can encourage, and then you could just lead the example. And that's your best bet is to be the example, the influence. Like if you're around somebody that's healthy and they're not harping on you, they're not hammering on you, they're very graceful, and you just notice like, man, they got good energy. Man, they really seem happier. They have, they look healthy. Like that invites them into wanting to maybe do what you do. But if they're pushing you all the time, that'll actually make it happen. That'll make it take longer.
No, it'll never happen that way. You're what you're hoping to have happen because you exude health and fitness so much. He starts to ask questions.
That's right.
Man, why are you so full of energy today? Wow, man, I got great night's sleep last night. I prioritized my breakfast. I feel great like this when I make sure that I hit my protein intake and I get a good lift in. Oh my God, let him see it. And then hopefully he asks questions because you exude it. And then you have the opportunity to say, oh, it's because of this and it's because of that. And it's like, you want me to make your meals, or do you want to go to the gym tomorrow and see how you feel? Like, then that, I mean, to me, that's the invite happens when they ask questions, right? When you've done enough to exude that lifestyle that they're curious about something. And until then, I always feel like I can do better than. If I'm not living enough of that life, that they're asking me questions, then I can be better. I'm going to be better. And so put my energy there until they do.
The January special is here. We have 4 workout program bundles: the new to weightlifting bundle, the body transformation bundle, the New Year extreme intensity bundle, and the body transformation bundle 2.0. Every single one of those workout program bundles is $300 off retail. It's a massive sale. If you're interested, go to mapsjanuary.com. All right, back to the show.
Next question is from Sean Glade. How do you deal with a client whom you genuinely can't stand to be around, but you can't cut them off because you're trying to build a schedule?
Okay, so it's fine having boundaries, right? You don't want a client that's going to treat you like crap or be super rude to you or whatever. But here's the deal: like, you're a trainer, okay? You have to learn how to be around a lot of different people. In my career of training trainers,
character. That's
right. Look, my entire career of training trainers, training clients, 2 decades plus, rarely is the client the problem. Usually it's the trainer. I can't stand them. Why? Well, they talk about things I'm not interested in, or they're too quiet, or that's not that's you. You need to be the chameleon, and you need to figure, especially if you're trying to build a schedule, change yourself and figure out how you can be around them. Find ways to make it something that you want to do. You're helping them. Maybe that's what you're excited about, the fact that you're actually helping them. Oftentimes it's the trainer, not the client. Now, of course, you should have boundaries. Like, don't allow people to treat you a particular way, cuss at you, whatever. But usually that's not the case. Usually it's just you just don't like them. Okay, like, so what? You're trying to build your schedule. Be a damn good trainer. You're trying to help them become healthier.
Yeah, I experienced this quite a bit. I did. Like a lot of people.
I work with people. They're sitting next to me right now.
But I reframed this. I totally reframed this, and I actually embraced it. And I like to take clients like this because I thought it stretched my capacity and challenged me. I made it a competitive thing inside of me. It's like, man, how can I get this client to like me, or how do I get on the same page as them? And there's got to be some common ground or something we can share in that interest in. And so I was always on this mission of trying to figure that out, and it just made me a better trainer. And I think the better you get at this, this skill will definitely pay off in the long run. What you don't want to do is just because this person has different political views, religious views, on life, whatever, you put a wall up yourself, and then you guys have this awkward training session that you dread every single day. Instead, I had this client. Let me tell you, I've had plenty of these clients. In fact, my longest standing, best paying client was a client that I couldn't stand the most. And it's a fact. It's a fact. Can I say this?
I had one of those.
People that have heard the story, that have been listening long enough. It's the one that threw the weight at me. And let me tell you, we had a very unhealthy relationship because of how she treated me. And I was just baffled by what is it about this girl that we just can't. Yet she kept paying for me, right? So I knew something was going on there too, right? Like the fact that she kept renewing with me, she wanted the training, stuff like that, but we couldn't have been more opposite on all of our views on life. But it made me better, and I think deep down, she actually really liked me. She's just a bitter, angry, hateful person. And so I was this client or this, trainer that she liked to take it out on her rough day all day. It was me. But it was a challenge. It was hard. It wasn't easy. How could I make her like me? How could I make her smile? How could I make her laugh? It was something that made me a better trainer, because I felt like, man, if I could get her to have a good workout and smile and like me and continue with me, then there's nobody who I can't sit in the same room.
Yeah,
with.
I mean, that's kind of the same ethos, the same mentality I had. It was like, there's something here I need to learn. And a lot of times it was like the people that didn't, we didn't get along with. Typically, it was people that really, I had to learn how to ask them more questions, have them talk about themselves more.
Yep.
And so really it was removing myself from that equation and being like, well, I come coming in all excited with all these things I want to talk about. And I'm, trying to direct the conversation and do all this. And then it just would get hijacked, and they'd find that opportunity to say something that just deflated all my sales. I'm like, no, I'm not giving you that anymore. No. And so just ask them all these questions about everything going on in their life, just constant barrage of questions and keep their mouth busy. It was just fine.
It's going to make you a good trainer if you can work through this. And at one point you will get to a place where you have all the control. And that's a great, but part of getting to that place is being able to handle these type of clients. If you run from these clients, or you fire these clients, or you have a bad attitude about these clients all the time, you're going to have a really hard time getting to a place where your schedule is so loaded you can pick and choose your clients. But one day you'll get there.
Here's how I used to look at it. If you've ever taken care of somebody that's really sick, have you guys ever had to take care of someone, a family member that's really sick or terminal? They're often mean.
Yes,
because they're often angry at you. Nurses deal with this all the time. Doctors deal with this all the time. Care workers deal with this all the time. And now, why do they keep doing it? Because they want to help the person. They care about them. They want to help them. And so it rolls off their shoulders. That's how I viewed this. When I had a client that was just someone I don't want to be around, they're a little bit, snarky or just kind of, bad attitude, bad mood. Now I have my boundaries. You're not gonna, call me names. You're not gonna disrespect me, but you're just rude. You're just kind of snarky. You're just whatever. You're not likable. I'm here to help you, and it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that I'm trying to figure out. And my goal is to get you to become healthier and happier. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. This was some of my favorite success stories. I mean, there's one gentleman I can think of right now. He would come in. He was an asshole. He was an asshole every time he came in, and I would try and make him laugh, and I try and tell him a joke, and I train him. And after 3 years of training this person, I talked to some of his coworkers. I don't want to say too much because he probably listens. Yeah. His coworkers came in and said, "Hey, what have you been doing with so-and-so?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Man, he's like telling jokes and he's happier and whatever." And I'm like, "Really?" Like, "Yeah, you've really changed him." And I was like, "Man, I felt so good." But I almost couldn't tell because every time you come in, he had this attitude. Yeah. But that's the way I look at it. Like
you also don't know, because this is what I found out later on about this client that I'm referring to also, is how much of a light you were for that person in their life. Dude. And even though you thought they hated you, or you thought they're such an asshole to me, they have this real bitter, negative look on all of life.
It's a defense mechanism.
And they're waiting for you to confirm what they believe. Everybody's a piece of shit. Nobody,
They
everybody.
might even feel safe letting it out on
That's
you.
right. And then they do that. And there's a part which I think is what I figured out with her is like that was her testing me forever to confirm that everybody is whatever, you know, but I'm not. I'm different. And I stayed consistent and continue to be that person. And then later on, I found out from other people that knew her and then be like, oh my God, Adam, she loved you.
Yeah.
She would do anything.
Isn't
for
that
you.
crazy?
And it's like, I never felt that, you know what I'm saying? I didn't feel it in there. Now, the only thing that did confirm was like, I remember, I was like, it always blew my mind. She'd re-sign, never thought twice
You
about
always
it.
thought to yourself, like, she's gonna re-sign.
Yeah, hopefully she's not going to re-sign this time. So sign up again. It's just like, God damn, when's this lady not going to re-sign with me? But, you know, because I felt that energy from her, but really, but that's because she was a bitter, angry, and that's a good example of somebody who's on their deathbed or you're having to take care of. They have a lot of negativity.
They're shitty, man.
But part of probably why they show up to see you is because you're not. You're a light in their life.
And that's why I say that's the trainer, man. This is your job. This is what you signed up for. You're there to help people, and you're there to help people when it's hard, not when it's easy. That's a piece of cake. Anybody can do that.
Next question is from UssieB10316. Why doesn't Mind Pump ever recommend MAPS Anabolic Advanced? I've only heard you talk about or recommend Anabolic. Is it an inferior program in the grand scheme of MAPS programs
It's
to follow?
the opposite of inferior. But it's advanced.
Yeah. So the reason why
we talk to people on their journey of what they should start with.
That's right. So MAPS Anabolic is more appropriate for most people. The other thing too is when we get callers that call in, we have a bit of a self-selection bias. These are people who are struggling. They're probably most of the time or many times they've been working out consistently for a while. They've overtrained and they call in, they can't figure something out. And so we recommend a program like MAPS Anabolic because it's appropriate. If you have experience, you're healthy, you've been training for a little while, a year or two, and you don't have issues with recovery and you want to build like the most muscle and strength on your body, but especially muscle, it's the most effective MAPS program we have for just pure muscle gain. It's one of the top ones. It's just it's just not as appropriate for everybody like MAPS Anabolic, the original one is.
Yeah, that's just it. It has nothing to do. I mean, it's an incredible program, but
it's one of our top selling. And funny, they say this too. MAPS Anabolic Advanced, one of our top selling MAPS programs, precisely because people recommend it.
But it really does belong in the person who's doing a lot of the right things, and it's the next program.
That's right.
But when we get callers, these are people that are struggling. They're having challenges, and a lot of times it is overtraining, under eating, doing too much of stuff, and it's like, or they're doing the old school body part split 7 days a week or something like that. And so MAPS Anabolic is where we do recommend most people start. So we just don't get a lot of questions that you hear on air that it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, MAPS Anabolic was perfect for you, because that person's like, would be the person who says like, hey, I've been doing great. I gained all this muscle. I did MAPS Anabolic. I did performance. I did aesthetic. What could I do next? Well, you could do MAPS Anabolic Advanced. That'd be great.
Well, and we kind of have like a core in terms of like what is the broadest stroke and what's going to fit with most of the general public and audience in terms of our programs. And then there's ancillary programs around that you know, you can then get into more of the nitty gritty of it, and you can really, you know, expand upon that specific type adaptation you're trying to go for. So it's some of the programs, like they get lost in the fray because like a lot of times we're just trying to send people to the start. That's right. Here's where you need to go.
You should own all the programs.
Yeah, but if you have experienced strength training, you've been doing it for a while, you're not overtraining right now, and you want to like see how much muscle can I gain in 90 days? Like I want to maximize muscle gain. MAPS Anabolic Advanced will do it. It'll put muscle on you in a hurry. But if you're overtrained, don't go there. If you're overtrained and you're overdoing it now, then you go to MAPS Anabolic Advanced, and that'll give you the best results. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.